Fox's house. This is his Fox body Mustang. We're going to install these brackets. They're pretty neat. You can buy them on eBay. They're like 80 bucks. I'll put the link in the description below. But they're for the lower control arms. So you can adjust the height of the lower control arm. And it's really nice when you're running a radial, you want more anti-squat. You can lower that bar and get more anti-squat. And in his case, he's going to run the stock springs for now. And he wants to lower the car, so it's a win-win. You lower that lower control arm, the springs on the lower control arm, it'll lower your ride height and increase anti-squat. But all you gotta do is just clean up each sides of this. And these holes, I'm pretty sure they're metric size. And the kit comes with standard. They're just a hair too big, the bolts are. So you gotta drill these out to a standard size. And then you'll bolt these on each side through a factory hole. And once you get them all lined up and straight, then you just weld them on there. And you'll see this hole right here and these holes back here, there'll be no hole through the factory mount. So you have to drill what holes you need. Probably on this one, I'll probably just drill out the next one down because I don't think we'll need any of these other holes. And then if we need to go lower, it'll be below that and it'll work just fine.
So if you want to get the most adjustment out of these brackets, what you can do is you can cut the tops of them off and move them down to where the top hole in the bracket lines up with the factory hole, and you can easily weld all the way around this thing and it'll be really strong.
Fortunately, I lost all the footage from finishing up Alex's car. The whole second half of what I was going to have for the video is gone. It is what it is. I mean, I made a mistake, no big deal, whatever. But I figured the next best thing was to show you guys my car as an example, because I did his brackets just like I did mine. We got the same type of control arms. The biggest difference is I'm running coilovers and he's running a stock spring with an adjustable shock. So, but you'll get the idea. What we did on his, to start off with the control arms, we measured from the center of the eyelets and got the length on the control arms, and we just matched the aftermarket ones to what those were, just to get a starting point. We put them all in the car and they were close. And the lower control arm hole, we just put one hole below the factory hole, and the holes are 3/4 of an inch apart. So just drop the car 3/4 of an inch. We wanted to go lower. We already knew that. We already knew we had to adjust the control arms a little bit. That was fine. So while we took the control arms apart, we dropped it down one more hole, so it was 1.5 inches down. And unfortunately, with single adjustable lower control arms, you have to completely remove them, at least from the front or the back, to adjust them. You can't leave them bolted up like the double adjustables are. So that's kind of an inconvenience. It takes a little bit more time, but they're way cheaper. So most people just deal with it. And once you get them set, you're done. You don't have to really mess with them again. So it took us a little bit of adjusting to get the rear end right where we wanted it and the pinion angle right where we wanted it. But once we dropped to the second hole down, is 1.5 inches from factory. The ride height looked a lot better. It'll still drop down a little bit because it has no fuel in it and he wasn't sitting in it, but I think it's real close where it needs to be. His car has coilovers on the front, and we lowered them all the way down as low as they would go, and it sits pretty good in my opinion. The car looks pretty good. The anti-squat number, we figured it up online with that center line or whatever everyone uses online calculator for all the Mustangs, and it was like 127% anti-squat, which is a perfect starting point for his car, and we can adjust accordingly from there. I don't think we can really be too much aggressive with it and go lower, because I think the tire would hit the quarter panel, but we'll see what it needs, and we can just make shock adjustments to make it work. The pinion angle, we got it set to a -1, which is normally what I shoot for. Online they say anywhere from -1 to -3 will work fine. All in all, I think the brackets are definitely worth the 80 bucks that they're asking for them. A day's worth of work, and you get to adjust your lower bar angle. I think it's a pretty good deal. For me, the hardest part was drilling the hole through the factory mount for the lower control arms. That took me over an hour. I broke 2 cobalt drill bits trying to drill that, and he had some Harbor Freight drill bit. He's like, man, this will never work, but try it. And the Harbor Freight one worked, so that was surprising. But once I drilled the holes, it was no big deal welding them up. It took us a little bit of getting it all together and adjusted and everything, but once it's all done, I mean, it's done. You don't really got to mess with it again. But I think it's worth it, and it's a good deal. It's a budget way of being able to change your bar angle without spending a bunch of money.